So with this, opening the part, finishing the opening part of the event, I want to now introduce or give the floor, better say, to the first speaker, who will introduce speak, better say, about all those innovations which are being supported by the incubator of enterprises. And I'm inviting Mr. Bagrat Yengibaryan to make the presentation. The topic of Mr. Yengibaryan is IT labor market challenges. And Mr. Yengibaryan is the head of the Enterprise Incubator Foundation. Some technical issues are to be solved, most probably. Okay, let me start. Firstly, I want to welcome all organizers and all guests. This is an honor for me to be here and to speak for you. If you won't mind, I will speak in English so as to make it easier, the matter of translation.
English to make the life of our guests easy, so, because most of the locals, they already had the chance to discuss these issues. Once again, First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Bagrat Yengibaryan. I'm a director of Enterprise Incubator Foundation. This is one of the largest IT business development and incubation agencies in the region, not only in Armenia, but the region. And we're managing more than 5 incubators and innovation centers in Armenia, in Yerevan, and 3 in regions of the country. We have been established in 2002, and during these years also we managed to create a model which is already interesting not only for Armenia but also for the most of the countries in the region. So why we are also providing lots of services to other countries in the region and in the world also. Before going deep into the topic, I will give a short overview about the sector of IT. We are happy now because finally we have a new ministry which called Ministry of IT, Communication and Transport. I don't know why they're calling vice versa IT at the end, but I think in the nearest future IT will become one of the major activities of the ministry. And as Minister already mentioned, IT was declared a priority in 2001, and the government and the private sector and also the community are they're putting a lot of efforts on development of the sector. So during these last 10-15 years, we managed that IT became, I will say, the largest sector in the country by number of employed people. Finally, we reached the target, which is 15,000 employed people in the sector not including only technical people, not including support staff, which is more than in the mining sector. And when we're speaking about an average salary, this is one of the highest in the country, which is more than 1,000 US dollar equivalent. But what is interesting, the sector is not only growing, and we have more than 500 companies, but also the productivity of the sector is very high. So the productivity is coming to the close to the of the employees to the closer to the developed countries. And also the geography of the sector is wide. So if you are looking on an expert, it mainly is more than 60% of the sector it's expert oriented. Still the US is the largest market, but during the last few years Europe, especially CIS countries, Russia, are becoming more and more active, and Armenian companies are getting more part in their contracts. But also in ownership structure, there's still the foreign investments are large, and especially it's interesting the role of the diaspora, because diaspora is playing a major role in the investments of finding a SaaS contract and the development of the sector. One of the major competitive advantages that Armenian IT is developing is still education, and we have, if you know, there are more than 60 higher educational establishments in the country, and most of them, they have some IT specialization, but there are top 15 who are very active in the development of IT and providing IT skill set. And still the popular ones are Yerevan State University, Sejin University, and others. But one of the major things that we see during the last few years, it's there's a high inertia in higher education system. Educational organizations had difficulties to adapt their needs and also the curricula to the recent development in the sector, because sector is growing very fast. And we understand that this is not only Armenian phenomena and the problem, but also in many countries in the world they have the same problem. And there's still we see the gap between the number of the graduates and the number of the people are employed in the sector. The issue is that itself, just to rely only on universities, it will be very difficult because I already mentioned about the inertia and what are the development models, so what are the interventions that we are trying to do, and also using the best experience in the world to do that. The approaches are different. Just before going to that, I want to say that already in the sector the demand is more than 2,000 specialists. So having this 25% annual growth, still there's a large need in the sector to be employed new people. And also what is important, it's not only, Armenia is not only cheap workforce destination, it's not only a sector that are looking for a cheap workforce. We have our specific and unique positioning in a global market. This is a country when all the multinationals and the locals are looking for solutions to their specific issues and to their specific problems. So this is giving, there are new challenges which means that only just rely on a workforce that will be employed and will be do a ABC type of the work is not sufficient, because we need to create a workforce which is creative and providing specific solutions to the specific problems. And we understand that we should go down into also the secondary education, why we can see the lots of initiatives in the country, not only on a higher education level, but also on a secondary education level. But on higher education level, which is most of the challenges, the model which we are developing is Armenia. It's very interesting, and I will say a few examples and different models, what are the major interventions for skill set development in the country. One of the well-known models, which is also working in Armenia, it's a partnership with large multinationals that are helping to create their specific workforce, but also they're supporting to general workforce development in the country. One of the successful models are Synopsys, which is already doing more than 7 years. So they created their own department inside of private company. They have a good partnership with 4 universities, and also by training students. This is important. It's not just a training center. They are also working with universities, and from the 2nd grade they are training university kids. They are satisfying their needs, plus they're providing a huge number of workforce to the sector. Another model is working with large multinationals on innovation centers. So we have an interesting example with Microsoft on Microsoft Innovation Center, and also with IBM Center for Innovative Solutions and Technologies. So there we are not relying only on the needs which sector is demanding, but also we are targeting to the future needs that the specialists in the future will be able to provide solutions to the issues. So Microsoft Innovation Center and IBM, they have the specific internship programs that are providing specific training for specific skill set for the specific number of the people. Another interesting model which we have, there are 2 of them. One is Armenian National Engineering Lab, which is unique lab covering 39 directions in IT and engineering. This is a partnership with National Instruments, American company. And what is important, first time in a large scale we intervene into the educational process of higher educational establishment. The model was designed in a state engineering university. The students, it's required for the student to pass this specific training in parallel to their usual classes. And we have also lots of interesting initiatives with different governments, like Armenian and Indian government initiative, which is Armenian Indian Training Center, which providing more than 1,000 trainings. And what is interesting also, now the new partnership with an Indian government, is the center will become more regional. So we'll have more and more students from in the future from Georgia and Iran coming to be trained here. And the results based on these trainings are very encouraging and interesting, because by developing these innovation centers, which have a big impact also on education system, we managed to push also innovation inside of the country by developing specific skill sets. So as we managed to create an environment and ecosystems which providing a specific, which are very efficient for specific innovation type of activities. I already told about Microsoft Innovation Center, but on acceleration side, this is a top 4 Microsoft innovations in the world. And Microsoft now using the model for development of similar innovation centers in other countries in the world. Or ANEL, which is, as I mentioned, a partnership with the National Instrument. This is now the governor of Texas, now developing a specific model also for their country. Or Mobile Lab, which was created in partnership with Nokia, and Nokia was acquired by Microsoft. Based on that and also the skill set available there, now they're creating a regional mobile and application laboratory, which will be a specific stress on cloud and mobile solutions. And also we managed to go to the regions. So the model giving us an opportunity not to concentrate all the workforce inside of the country, but also to create a specific environment in the regions, like in Gyumri and Vanadzor, that there will be no need for the specialist or the student to move Yerevan to be employed for a specific company. So Vanadzor Technology Center and Gyumri Technology Center were developed, and they're providing not only training type of activities, but there are also innovation centers and incubators, which we have a lot. In Gyumri, it's already 1 year operational. It's practically full. And we have not only Armenian, but Taiwanese, American, and other companies even from Yerevan moving there to get an access to the specific skill set, which in many cases is not affordable, available in Yerevan. And I will tell about a little bit about ecosystem. This is not just this workforce development activities. This is not just goal to increase the number of people in the sector, but we have a lot of parallel activities which are helping them to create teams, to create startups. And one of the good news, it's the government of Armenia, most probably most of you know, have a special treatment in IT sector for IT startups. For 3 years, they are exempt from the profit tax, and they have a 10% income tax. And these are the startups, just a small part of startup ecosystem, that because of this skill set, they are starting their companies in the country. And annually, there are more than 60 startups starting in Armenia. This is just a map to show how it's distributed. So not only there is a large concentration in Yerevan, but we are also trying to go to the regions. And one of the interesting things that also there's some development in Artsakh. There's an Artsakh IT center, and we have already American company which is based in Stepanakert. And there are also interesting next steps. So large engineering city will be established in Yerevan, in the suburbs of the city of Yerevan, in Jervesh. It will be major concentration on education and engineering sector development activities. And also we have an interesting new initiative on a cybersecurity, on a regional cybersecurity center. And at the end, I want to share a few interesting examples that the sector managed to reach. By the model which we are pushing already 10 years, so we have already changed transformation in a structure of IT. So from outsourcing destination during the last 5 years, Armenia becoming a country which is developing products and solutions for the global markets. And one of the important part of the model is there are the acquisitions from the private companies. And a few examples which happened last year. We all know about Oracle and the Cisco acquisitions. Each of the deals were cost $100 million, or GF or Monetis and VMware, TeamViewer acquisition, which was cost $1.1 billion, which is giving a interesting boost to the development of the sector. But also we have our interesting local stories. We have already made in Armenia products that are global. The Pixart, one of the examples, is one of the top 50 applications in the world. And this is a company employing 300 people in Armenia. And one of the major key issues of success is the workforce that they have in the country. In US, they are keeping only their marketing and financial staff for 20 people. Or SoloLearn, which became during the last year top 10 startup in fastest growing startup in the Silicon Valley. There is only non-American company among these 10, and many others like T-Mobile, Shadomatic, and others, which is giving an interesting energy. They're giving big energy to us that the model which we are relying on our major competitive advantage, which is workforce, and the model which we are developing on a skill development, how to train continuously this workforce, are giving us opportunity not to bring large investment into the country, but also to create an ecosystem where we have our local global startups. So I will stop here. Thank you very much, and all the best.
Thank you. Vahan Ovsepian, ArmIGF Foundation. Can you please tell a bit more about the upcoming activity in New York? Because I guess it is one of the milestones of Armenia to bring the high-tech, the investments in high-tech sector of Armenia. Thank you.
As for the New York, the event, the investment forum will take place 10-11 October. this year. So in next 2-3 days, most of the delegates will leave the country. What is interesting that the first time that in a large investment forum, when the president will be also be there, which is a big message to the investors, major stress is on technology. So it's not only IT, but also on high tech, and also it's important as Armenia is positioning itself as a technological destination. Definitely there will be other investment projects on agriculture, pharmaceuticals, and many other sectors. But if we are looking on agenda and most of the activities and also the projects, I will see the major stress on tech. During the first day, there will be also some signing ceremony, so I don't want to open all the secrets. So we need some everything to keep also for the event. But also during the second day, if you are looking on agenda, there is only most of the panels are trying to stress on technology. Not only we have on IT high tech, but there is specific on communication also. And if you are looking on the projects on an investment panel, there are interesting also the tech event. I hope the event will be successful, and I think it will be not only just a nice visit, but we already know that we'll have also will announce some interesting initiatives which will start from the New York next week.
Thank you. Maybe the next question. At ISOC these 2 days, we're also discussing that Armenia is quite experienced in running multi-stakeholder commissions or multi-stakeholder units. So the one we represent here is Internet Governance Council, and the second one that is under your supervision or not the control, supervision, or you oversee that, is the Information Technologies Development Support Council. With the changes in the government, there were some changes in all the structures. Do you consider any changes here, or do you want to think that it could be more activated, etc.? So what future can we anticipate in this body? Thank you.
Yeah. IT Support Council, I think it was established in 2001 when the IT was declared as a priority sector. And this was created an interesting platform for the dialogue between private sector and the government. But I think this is nice momentum. I think the role of the council will be developed in the future, because the council is not only becoming a place for the dialogue, but also council today is becoming also the place for the dialogue between the private sector organizations and also the government, inside of the government. Because when we are going back in 2001, we have 35 companies, just one ministry, who is Minister of Economy, who is trying to deal with some of the IT developments. But now we can see that in itself, inside of the sector, we have many unions, organizations. Because of the size of the sector, we have different interest centers. This is not that the sector is dividing into different organizations. This is natural development, because having more than 500 companies in the large startup movement, you need to have different interest centers. And different organizations are specifically specialized on a specific center. In the near future, I think we'll have more and more organizations like startups and some others. On the other hand, in the government itself, with the an interesting development inside of the all agencies. And we see the development also intergovernmental activities, not only e-government systems, but now the cybersecurity is one of the top topics. So this is an area where different government organizations should interact. And here, the partnership between the government and the private sector is important, because private sector of Armenia is also contributing a lot to the tech development inside of the government and government agencies and the local authorities. So I think now we are working with the government and different unions on a new concept of the center. So center, I think in the nearest future, the new prime minister has been appointed. We'll have a first meeting, and this new concept will be discussed, which will become a place for strategic discussion of the future IT and e-society development in this country, because what we have is already, we can say it's success, but it's not enough. So now the major challenge will be how to leverage all these successful activities. But also Armenia is active not only in the Council, but also we are coordinating lots of groups in EU on digital agenda, in Eurasian Union. Armenia is coordinating one of the ministers. She's former Deputy Minister of Economy. She's very active, Karina Minasyan. She's very active on this digital agenda inside of the Eurasian Union. And I think I'm coming from one of the large events in Moscow, when even the Russia, sitting next to the Minister of Communication of Russia and etc. There are very interesting developments inside of Armenia, which could be replicated in a larger scale. And one last thing, Armenia is interesting environment. Being small, for us it's also a competitive advantage. Some people thinking that it's a disadvantage because of the market size, but it's becoming now an interesting advantage, because many projects now they are prototyped and tested in Armenia before scaling up. We know one of the nice examples is IBM. IBM with our Ministry of Social Protection or whatever, I don't remember the right name of the ministry, developing a system, Kuram system here for the country, for potential expansion with the regional excellence center in Mongolia, in different regions of Russia, and then etc. So the same for Microsoft on the cloud and mobile. Microsoft is promoting local cloud and mobile solutions for SMEs for future expansion into the larger market. So I think more and more in the future we'll see more regional and global activities coordinated from Armenia.
Good, thank you. And if there are no questions, I can continue. Well, I know that EF is quite advanced in developing IT and now high-tech industries in Armenia. And the question is, are we going to go deeper to the economy? I mean, the IT solutions, innovations to the economy, to the fields of economy, like agriculture, IT or ICT applications in tourism, etc. Because we are not going just to raise the penetration of internet itself. It is not, okay, it is good. Actually, it is good, but we also want to make the innovations to economy so more people can use the internet with the dedicated, for the dedicated purposes. Thank you.
I think we should do that, because especially now we have good partners from telcos. Before, telcos are relaxed because they have large revenues and etc. because of the different model. Now in the global world, the model has been changed. Now the content is one of the major, and whatever solutions you are using, and this transformation giving a new challenge for the IT sector development, and not to concentrate on a local solutions. I think it's not smart. It's good that we have a lots of global solutions, but also now we are thinking how these existing ecosystems will contribute not only for the global solutions, which is good for investment promotion side of the country, but also on some of the local solutions, which will, on one hand, will be a revenue source for the local IT companies, but on the other hand, this is increasing also efficiency and productivity of other sectors. So this was a message when in the nearest future we'll have different mechanisms like matching grants and the venture fund activities, which are directed to the IT solutions in other sectors of the economy. Health is one of them, education is another one, agriculture is another one. And another important thing is not only education or agriculture, we have also interesting conceptual changes in the system, like in a banking system, in education system. And this all will give us, I think, through these innovation centers and through these different mechanisms. During the Prime Minister meeting 2 days ago, they were discussed a specific grant mechanism, refundable grants, which will concentrate it on IT solutions in biotech and also in renewable energy and energy efficiency sectors. And this could be developed. But still, lots should be done. And we need also to understand, to look what is taking place in other countries and what are the countries that are successful on that part.
Well, I guess we can say thank you, Diana.
Thank you.
Շնորհակալություն, պարոն